All right, so today we're going to talk about slope-intercept form of a line. We're going to look at points and slope and create equations, okay? So if we have this slope-intercept form, does anyone know what any of the parts are?
Some letters.
They're just letters to you, okay. So M.
Well, I know mx plus b, I did that, I remember that, but
Okay.
it was like to find, yeah, I think it was to find, I forget what it was for though, because it was like in like one of the first chapters that we did.
Okay, so M in your equation, so which is the number that's before X, is always going to be the slope of your line, okay?
Right.
And then B is going to be your y-intercept. Okay? So if I have the equation, let's make up one. Y equals negative 3x plus 6. You should be able to identify the slope because you have the equation, and you should be able to identify the y-intercept. So the slope here is going to be what?
-3.
Negative 3. And your y-intercept is?
6.
And let's write it as 0, 6 as a coordinate. Okay? Now, sometimes you won't get the equation in the form of y equals, and you'll have to rearrange it and solve for y.
Yep.
But you guys should know how to do that. Okay? The second thing I want to look at is this slope formula, and this is how you calculate slope. So if I have 2 points, give me a point.
For -5.
Dylan, give me a point.
7, -12.
I have 2 points, and I want to find the slope. So I use the y values, and I subtract them, and I find the x values, and I subtract them. It doesn't really matter which one's y2 and y1, just as long as, like, if you start with this point, then you use both of these numbers first.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
So let's call this one 1 and call this one coordinate 2. So let's start with -12, and we're going to subtract the other coordinate, that is the y. So we're going to subtract a negative, so that becomes a positive.
Yes.
And then we have 7 minus 4 for our x values. So what's our slope?
Wait, it says 3.
Oh,
That's fine.
because I already subtracted it in my head.
It would be a 7. I mean, -7, -7.
Okay? And when you put that into the formula, it's okay to put it in there as a fraction. Okay? If you want to change it into a decimal, you can, but that one's in thirds, so it's going to be a repeating decimal. So I would just leave it as that fraction when you put it into this equation.
Okay.
Okay? Any questions? We okay? Am I going too fast?
No.
All right, so now we have a question. It says, find the equation for a line going through -4, 5 with the slope of -2. So we're going to use this equation and replace what we know. So I'll rewrite it. What do we know from what was given? We know the,
Slope.
yep, we know the slope is -2. So I have -2 here for M. Do I have an x coordinate and a y coordinate?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Here's my x, here's my y, right? So I have -2 times -4 plus b, which we don't know, which we're looking for, equals 5.
Well, -2 times -4, it doesn't equal 8.
Okay, so let's solve. So we have 5 equals -8 plus b. And then how am I going to solve it for b, because I want my y-intercept?
Wait, it wouldn't be -8, would it?
Oh, positive.
You would. -3.
Okay, because you're going to subtract 8, right?
Yeah.
So my y-intercept is -3. So now that we have the y-intercept and we were given the slope, we can write the equation. So what's the equation?
Y equals 2x negative 2x
plus
or
-3.
or
Okay.
-3.
Or -3, right? Or, I'll just rewrite it since we said both. Means the same thing, right? All right, so you have practice problems to do in that slope section of your outline that deal with slope, all right?
Okay.
And we'll continue to add to this, like we'll look at graphs and find the equation from a graph, all right?
Okay.
But if you know the slope from a line on the graph, and you can find the y-intercept, it should be pretty easy to find the
Okay.
equation. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay? All right, so get working on those problems.